Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about accent accommodation and communication training programs for professors. Have you ever found yourself at 8 a.m., half asleep, thinking, I cannot understand what the professor is saying? And it's not because of their lack of knowledge or being unprepared, it's just simply because of their accent. And honestly, this happens way more often than college are willing to admit, and we typically brush it off like we were just not paying enough attention, but in reality, it is a problem. And the problem just not impact how we learn, but how also professionals feel and how inclusive campuses are. I'm convinced that universities need to start incorporating structure, accent accommodation, and communication training programs into their faculty orientation because we shouldn't expect anyone to change their accent, but what we can do is how to navigate these challenges. And it's important for all of us. We depend on our professors to communicate clearly so we can succeed. When communication fails short, we're the ones to struggle. So, today we're going to talk about three things. First, how the issues arise from being a just simple misunderstanding to like a big problem in college classrooms, and why this problem keeps happening, and why the current training program just don't seem enough. So, first, the solution I have is pretty much incorporate communication training and accent accommodation strategies into orientation. This way, both professor and students can connect and understand each other better because accent bias goes beyond just miscommunication. It affects seriously academics performance, professor ratings, and overall trust in classrooms. And many times students misinterpret unfamiliar accents with a sign of incompetence. In my previous speech, I stated a research done by Galen Clement and Marnie Jo portrayed, and they highlight that the standard accent is pretty much white middle class value. And when professors don't fit into that, they seem like, oh, this professor is not smart enough or whatever. Students often find challenging to understand difficulties at first, but with exposure, they get used to it. And Margaret Water did a research about this, and it pretty much says that students with more exposure improved a lot at the end of the semester. Another important point is that accent bias can lead to unfair evaluation for teachers, and this can affect their career. Acker's research shows that students tend to rate professors with British or Western European accent higher than those with Asian and Latin American accents, even when the lectures were identical. So, also, this can be like a tough challenge for professors, and especially when it comes to their accents. In a study by Sabrina Sambiente, it's clearly that the faculties who are from other countries feel the need to neutralize their accents, and they practice way too much. They overthink. They get shy around colleagues, and they just scared of being judged. And this pressure really takes a lot of their confidence, creativity, and ability to connect with the students. And it doesn't just stop, and it continues because when communication issues arise, it can lead to lower grades, rise in frustration, creating really negative environment in the classrooms. And to improve things, we need to understand where these issues are coming from. And however, research indicates that the real problem is not just linguistic, it's also like a structural problem. First off, universities often neglect to provide communication training for the new faculty. And even though that we know we need to improve our listening skills, they don't offer support for the professors. For example, a study by Jianglin Wang at Washington University, found the students tend to form strong opinions about their professor early on, often driven by anxiety or unfamiliarity. So building a positive and friendly relationship with them can erase these concerns. But they cannot do this without proper training. Second, students themselves lack training in listening to diverse accents. Research showed that many Americans have limited exposure to diverse linguistic backgrounds, leading them to perceive accent speech as more challenging than it actually really is. A study by Dunstan and Jaeger even noted that students from domestic areas with southern dialects feel pressure to conform to academic speech norms. And finally, many faculty members are unaware of the bias that play how to encounter them effectively, since this is just a challenge that it's become more a problem after the job interview. And as Kavas and Kavas discover in the study, students often point the finger at the professor rather than recognizing their own responsibility for adapting to previous speech patterns. So, my proposal include 4 steps. Four. The first one, orientation includes proper training for professors to communicate clearly, taking accents differences into account. For example, with a workshop talking about space and speech, checking for understanding, using visual aids, incorporating interactive activities, and how to receive feedback. Second, student adjustment tools in the syllabus so they can go back of whatever is important for the teacher and just pretty much other accessories they want to have. Third, optional language support researches and not just about an accent elimination training. And secondly, it's important because it can enhance student understanding, reduces bias, it boosts professors, and it can be affordable at the end of the day. And most importantly, this policy doesn't change how they are because it's part of their personality. More just about how to they want to manage that. So, next time you hear a professor with a different accent, keep this in mind. It's not just their accent adjustment, it's how the system is. And with the right policies, we can make a real change happen.